Under the quiet night sky, a chorus of voices erupts from the shadows, shouting aloud, heartfelt birthday greeting to Patrick. A frustrated voice snaps through the night, demanding silence and reminding everyone it's the middle of the night as the chaos continues. Patrick Gong belts out an enthusiastic birthday song for Sara, who's visibly annoyed and on the edge of losing it, while Vicky Lin watches silently under the streetlight's glow. The old men shout at Sara and Vicky Lin to keep it down, but Sara, embarrassed and defensive, insists it's her friend's birthday, while Vicky Lin stays quiet, watching the scene unfold. Under the crescent moon outside the subway station, Sara Lin's friend bursts with disbelief and excitement, shouting, "Can you believe you're finally 18, Sara Lin?" Sara scoffs, insisting it's just a number, her voice sharp as she climbs the stairs, dismissing the hype around turning 18. Patrick teases Sara about turning into an adult, but she fires back, refusing to grow up and mocking the idea as they all navigate the stairs. Patrick Gong snaps, accusing Sara of never even kissing a boy, while Sara's shocked glare meets his fiery outburst as tension crackles down the hall. Vicky Lin grins, teasing Sara that her senior year is halfway gone and she seriously needs to get moving, while Sara scowls, clearly annoyed but caught off guard. Sara snaps back defensively, insisting she can't control that kind of thing, frustration flashing across her face as she tries to hold her ground. Patrick Gong admits he hasn't had the chance yet, leaving his potential untested and the possibility hanging in the air. Patrick Gong leans in with a smirk, challenging, "So you're saying all you need is an opportunity and you'll just do it?" Patrick Gong snaps, "You want an opportunity? I can give you one right now," as Sara stumbles back, caught off guard, while Vicky Lin watches silently from the stairs. Sara stammers in disbelief, struggling to process Patrick Gong's bold challenge as tension crackles between them. Vicky Lin mocks Sara with a sharp laugh, while Patrick Gong bursts out laughing, leaving Sara stunned and disgusted as she tries to clarify the bet. Patrick Gong shushes Sara urgently, beckoning her up the stairs with a sharp, "Listen up, you ready?" Patrick Gong throws down a $5 dare, daring Sara to ask some guy for a kiss, and Sara's face instantly flashes with shock and disbelief. Patrick Gong points sharply down the hall, daring Sara to go ask Oliver Yong, the guy just sitting there, eyes closed like he's asleep, for a kiss. Oliver Yong, sitting calmly with his large bag, suddenly snaps his eyes open and questions the stranger's presence with sharp disbelief. Sara's eyes widen in shock, her voice barely escaping as she utters a stunned, in response to the sudden tension. Patrick Gong raises his hand defensively, insisting he's not crazy, while Sara recoils, shocked and annoyed, as a smirking stranger mocks their exchange with disbelief over a measly $5. Patrick Gong ups the stakes with a daring challenge, throwing $50 on the table and daring Sara to take it upstairs, his smirk daring her to prove him wrong. Patrick Gong taunts Sara with a smug grin, but she vanishes before his words finish, leaving Vicky Lin stunned and gasping at the sudden disappearance. Sara bolts down the hallway, leaving Patrick Gong stunned and the dark-haired person shouting in disbelief, caught off guard by her sudden, serious move. Sara's wide eyes betray the shock crashing through her as she processes the chaos unfolding just out of reach. Oliver Yong remains seated, eyes closed behind his glasses, headphones on as if blocking out the storm brewing just beyond his quiet corner. Sara's eyes snap wide as she spots Oliver Yang's shoes, realization hitting. They're rocking the exact same pair, and she can't hide her surprise. Sara's panic spikes as she covers her mouth, sweating and trembling, desperate to silence the chaotic thoughts, screaming she can't handle this moment. Vicky Lin whispers fierce encouragement while a mocking voice taunts Sara, pushing her tension higher as the stairwell tightens around her resolve. Sara clenches her fist, fire burning in her eyes, as she declares she won't lose to Patrick, confidence ignited, ready to turn the tide. Sara's frustration boils over as she urges herself to just go and wake him up. No more hesitation. It's now or never. Sarah's voice cracks with raw frustration as she demands herself to snap out of it, questioning her own hesitation like a battle cry against her doubts. Oliver Young remains seated in silence, eyes closed, as the tension from the hallway's chaos fades into a calm that feels almost too still. Sarah's surprise melts into a blush as she quietly admits to herself that he's kinda cute, the tension shifting into something unexpectedly soft. A sharp snap echoes as a single finger flicks decisively, cutting through the moment with sudden intent. Sarah's eyes snap wide open, breath hitching sharply as shock crashes through her like a sudden storm. The subway train roars into the station, its arrival shaking the platform as Patrick Gong stands steady, eyes locked on the speeding metal beast slicing through the underground tunnel. The garage shakes as a roaring engine breaks the silence, forcing Sarah and the others to freeze, eyes wide with shock as the shutter door trembles under the thunderous Viarong. Oliver Young snaps awake, eyes locking upward as the thunderous roar shatters the tense silence, every muscle ready for whatever's coming through that door. Sarah swallows hard, tension tightening her throat as the weight of the unknown threat presses down on the room. Sara leans forward, voice barely above a whisper, asking for permission to kiss, the moment thick with hesitant tension. Sarah stands silently by the sink, water running as she stares down, lost in thought while the kitchen remains still around her. Oliver Young closes his eyes, tuning out the world as the music flows through his headphones, blocking everything else into silence. Sarah scrambles as the faucet sprays water everywhere, turning her calm dishwashing into a chaotic mess. Sarah cuts through the tension with a bold question, asking Oliver Young straight up, "Can I kiss you?" Sarah sighs deeply, staring down at the running water as the weight of her question hangs heavy in the silent room. Sarah storms in, demanding an answer, her voice sharp as Oliver Young, caught off guard with headphones on, freezes in stunned silence. Two figures sit on the bench, one tapping a sneaker rhythmically while their feet brush together, tension simmering beneath the casual contact. Sarah's balance snaps, and she crashes hard onto the ground with a sharp BM, sending Oliver's red bag tumbling beside her. Oliver Young snaps his eyes open, shock flashing across his face as he blurts out, "What the heck? Of course not. You weirdo." Sarah spins around, her eyes blazing with anger as she confronts the chaos unfolding before her. Sarah looks down at the person sprawled on the floor, overwhelmed by their outburst and the raw embarrassment radiating from every word. Sarah stares at the dish in the sink, frustration bubbling as she realizes she's been scrubbing the same plate for 5 whole minutes. Oliver sips his coffee calmly, warning Sarah she's already late for school while she stubbornly keeps scrubbing that stubborn dish in the sink. Sarah's hands slip, splashing water everywhere as a sharp shout cuts through the kitchen. Someone's desperate to stop her from washing that dish any further. Oliver pushes Sarah out the door with a proud grin, shouting for her to spread the word about how cool her dad is, while Sarah groans in reluctant response. Sarah leans on Patrick with a soft smile, teasing him gently about his silly old dad, while the weight of their moment lingers quietly between them. Patrick bursts out aloud, "Good morning, Sarah," catching her completely off guard as she jumps in surprise, clutching her backpack tighter in the bustling school hallway. Sarah snaps at Patrick, demanding what he's doing here so early, and Patrick just shrugs it off, claiming he's an early bird with no shame. Patrick grins, gripping his backpack straps as he insists he came to pick Sarah up, teasing her about never expecting it and asking how she slept and if she had good dreams. As the door locks with a decisive click, Sarah and Patrick exchange wary glances, tension thickening the air between them. Oliver bows with measured respect, his neutral expression hiding intentions as the silence stretches between them. Sarah's eyes flicker up in surprise as she stammers out a shaky morning greeting to Mr. Young, breaking the tense silence with unexpected hesitation. Patrick smirks, demanding payment for last night's bet as he gestures with his hand, then turns to walk away with his briefcase, leaving Sarah stunned and caught off guard. Sara shoves Patrick hard, yelling accusations while he just laughs, mocking her with a taunt that cuts deeper than any fight. Sara drags the hesitant bystander, shouting about being late for school while ignoring their frantic pleas about the missing money, pushing forward with relentless urgency. As Sara drags the bystander away, a shadowy figure steps forward, eyes locked on the missing money, tension crackling in the air like a storm about to break. The shadowy figure lunges forward, snatching the stolen money with a swift, ruthless grip, forcing everyone to freeze in stunned silence. Sara sighs deeply, resting her head on her hand, staring blankly at the notebook and calculator, muttering, "I really wish I cared." Sara's head snaps up as a sharp whisper breaks the silence, dragging her attention away from the dull numbers and into something far more urgent. Vicky leans in with a teasing smile, dropping the bomb that Sara nearly had her first kiss last night, sending a ripple of nerves through the orange-haired girl. Sara slams her hand on the desk, eyes blazing as she yells, "Tammy, why in the world would you bring that up here?" Tammy's face tightens, voice low but fierce as she retorts, "Because it's exactly what you need to hear right now, Sara." Sara's eyes flicker with quiet intensity as whispers ripple through the classroom, the weight of Tammy's words settling like a storm ready to break. Sara's gaze sharpens as she steps forward, voice cutting through the tension, challenging the silence that's been suffocating the room. The teacher's voice booms through the classroom, slamming down authority as he calls out Sara for disrupting the lecture and demands she meet him after class. The teacher confronts Sara in the counselor's office, slamming down her failing calculus grade and reminding her it's senior year. Time is running out. Sara admits nervously that she's aware of the stakes, but confesses calculus has always been a struggle for her, her worry clear as time slips away. Oliver offers to connect Sara with a student tutor after school, and despite her hesitation, Sara agrees to meet next week, clinging to a sliver of hope. Sara snaps back at her dad over the phone, fed up with his yelling, insisting she already arranged a tutor and things will be fine. Sara walks through the city streets, still reeling from the call, muttering to herself about the tutor her dad suddenly insisted on while heading home. Sara storms through the streets, gritting her teeth and cursing the endless grind. School never ends, and now her dad wants her stuck with a tutor after all that. The steady rhythm of white shoes with red stripes echoes through the empty hallway, each step driving Sara closer to whatever's waiting around the corner. Sara stares at the ground, struggling with the urge to break down, silently questioning if now is the moment to let the tears fall. Her footsteps echo on the empty sidewalk, each step a quiet defiance against the storm brewing inside. Sara's eyes lock onto the shoes, a flicker of recognition sparking deep beneath her calm exterior. A lone figure stands motionless on the sidewalk, clutching a red bag as the city hums around them, eyes fixed on the road ahead. Sara's eyes widen as a sudden realization hits her, freezing her in place with a sharp, urgent thought. Wait a second. Oliver grips his phone, voice low but urgent, as he relays the critical discovery that just shattered Sara's world, setting a new plan into motion. Sara's breath catches sharply, her eyes widening as the weight of Oliver's revelation crashes down, shaking her resolve to its core. Sara looks down, stunned, as someone suddenly jumps toward the bushes near the building, the sudden movement breaking the tense silence. Oliver Young snaps to attention, phone pressed to his ear, his calm facade cracking as he demands, "Huh," in response to the sudden movement nearby. The street lies deserted, silence stretching between the buildings as tension builds in the empty space. Oliver stands motionless by the building, hand pressed to his face, eyes scanning the shadows as if waiting for something, or someone, to break the silence. Sara crouches behind the bushes, eyes sharp and voice low, questioning the unexpected presence of the subway boy in this quiet, tense place. The city breathes around them, pedestrians weaving through shadows cast by towering buildings, parked cars lining the streets, as life pulses steadily beneath the surface tension. Sara freezes, heart pounding, as she spots him slipping past the bushes and stepping into her apartment building. This changes everything. Sara leaps over scattered leaves, clutching her satchel tight as she presses forward, every step echoing urgency on the city sidewalk. Sara sprints through the crowded street, shouting in frustration as confusion swirls around her, clutching her bag tighter with every desperate step. Sara peeks nervously around the corner near the elevator, heart racing as the chilling thought hits her. Maybe he found out where she lives. Sara watches the hoodie-clad figure step into the elevator, disbelief flashing across her face as she mutters, "Yeah, right. This has to be a joke." Sara storms up the subway stairs, gripping the handrail tight, muttering her frustration with every heavy breath. "Stupid subway, BOY." Sara slams the door open with a growl, her irritation clear as the loud ding echoes through the hallway, signaling something urgent or unwelcome. Sara hesitates behind the door, eyes locked on Oliver as he strides away with his red bag, leaving unanswered questions hanging in the air. Oliver pushes the door open, stepping into the dim hallway with his red bag slung over one shoulder, eyes scanning ahead as if expecting someone or something. The door behind him slams shut with a deafening bang, echoing through the empty corridor and sealing him inside. Sara presses herself against the door, tears streaming down her face as she whispers, "Why me?" trapped in the silence that suffocates her. Sara lets out a heavy sigh, gripping the doorknob tightly as she steels herself against the weight of the silence behind the door. The silence shatters as a door slams shut with a thunderous bang, echoing down the empty hallway and sealing whatever lies beyond. Fingers fly over the keyboard, urgency pressing into every keystroke as a critical message takes shape. The screen reveals a personal journal confessing a humiliating encounter with a boy from the subway, sealing a vow to stay hidden forever. Sara shut her laptop with a heavy sigh, the weight of her promise anchoring her inside, never to step outside again. Sara lies on her bed, fingers tapping the laptop keys as frustration bubbles. Her voice breaks the silence, questioning if anyone even reads her words, while a distant call pulls her back, announcing her cousin Vicky's arrival at the door. Sara peeks anxiously from behind the door, her voice cracking as she demands why she can't leave her room, frustration boiling over as she tells her dad they've already been through this. Vicky bursts in with a cheerful wave, handing over a food package and teasing Sara about her desperate online posts, breaking the tense silence with unexpected warmth. Vicky grins as she reveals the delivery was lightning fast, leaving Sara stunned and Sara's dad raising his cup in surprise at the mention of an online blog. Sara yanks Vicky inside with urgent force, shouting to hurry before anyone discovers them, the tension thick as the door slams shut behind them. Vicky clutches the package tightly, her voice sharp as she snaps back, insisting she can't stay. They still have deliveries to finish before the day ends. Sara hands over the food bag with a thoughtful smile, and Vicky's face lights up as she grabs it, cheerfully thanking her before rushing off to continue the deliveries. Vicky slides the helmet over her head, teasing Sara about finally stepping outside and maybe even running into the subway boy, determination flashing in her eyes. Sara's dad casually sips his drink, eyes sharp as he demands to know who the subway boy is, while Sara hesitates, caught off guard and unsure how to answer. Sara waves goodbye at the door, insisting no one's there, while Vicky smiles warmly, ready to leave as they exchange quick farewells. Sara grabs her bag and heads toward her room, calling out a quick goodbye, while Sara's dad, caught off guard on the couch, shouts after her, tension thick in the air. Sara's dad, still gripping his cup on the couch, suddenly demands the link to her blog, his voice sharp and insistent in the quiet room. A voice pierces the morning calm, shouting Patrick's name and demanding to know if he finished his homework before the school day even begins. Patrick stands silently, eyes closed, as the voice accuses him of wasting the entire weekend without touching his homework. Sara snaps at Patrick to hand over the paper, her anger barely contained, while Patrick stays calm, clutching it tightly and insisting he was busy. Patrick tries to protest as Sara yanks the book from his grip, their hands locked in a fierce struggle over the stolen pages. Sara slams the cash down, demanding the $50 Patrick still owes, her eyes sharp as he holds the money, caught in the weight of debt and confrontation. Sara clenches her fist, her voice sharp and fierce as she snaps. "Are you kidding me?" demanding the money she's owed without a shred of patience left. Patrick's disappointed tone cuts through the tension as he offers, "Oh, sorry. Did you want to up that to $75? Challenging the demand with a hint of reluctant negotiation. Patrick's eyes snap open as money flies toward him, a sharp jerk, cutting through the air just before the cash lands with a heavy flush. Patrick throws out wild bets about who'll kiss next, while Sara scribbles furiously, snapping back with a sharp, "Shut up," as tension crackles across the classroom. Sara shoves the desk, eyes blazing as she snaps, "Will you quit talking about that?" While Patrick stays calm, eyes closed, unmoved by the outburst over the sensitive topic. Sara jabbed her pen into the notebook, glaring as she snapped, "That guy even called me a weirdo," before biting back a sharp ouch that revealed the sting beneath her anger. Sara's pen paused mid-sentence as the teacher announced a new student, cutting through the tension and forcing everyone to brace for the unexpected introduction. Sara's pen jolted violently as a sudden shock rattled her focus, snapping her attention from the page to the source of the disturbance. They exchanged a quick, sharp confirmation, sealing their agreement without hesitation. Patrick stepped forward confidently, greeting the room with a sharp, "Hi, everyone," while Sara's dad watched on, curiosity flickering behind his glasses. Sara's frustration bubbles as she glances sideways, muttering, "PFF, loser," clearly expecting someone else and mocking the awkward mix-up with sharp laughter. Joe steps forward with a bright smile and a casual wave, introducing himself with a friendly, "Hey, I'm Joseph, but just call me Joe." Joe steps forward with a bright smile and a casual wave, introducing himself with a friendly, "Hey, I'm Joseph, but just call me Joe." Patrick sits with eyes closed, unfazed, as a boy in the foreground blows air in disbelief, breaking the classroom's sudden buzz of admiration. Sara glares sharply at Patrick, demanding answers as the classroom buzzes with students distracted by their own infatuations, clutching notebooks and pencils in a tense silence. Sara storms over to Patrick's desk, slamming her notebook down as she demands an explanation, while Patrick keeps scribbling nervously, eyes darting between her and his writing. Patrick, caught off guard, forces a smile and greets the newcomer with a hesitant, "Hi," as tension lingers in the air. Sara stammers a shy greeting, her eyes lighting up as she blurts out, "OMG, dimples," caught between surprise and admiration. The teacher calls the class to attention from the podium while a student glances sideways, caught between distraction and curiosity. Sara grips her pen tight, eyes locked on the boy in front of her, heart racing as she whispers, "He's sitting right in front of me. I'm so lucky." Sara's frustration boils over as she crumples her paper and hurls it across the classroom, gripping her pen tighter, desperate to capture the words that won't come. Sara snaps her head around, eyes blazing with fury as she shouts, "What?" demanding answers that seem just out of reach. A defiant student slams their fist on the desk, demanding, "Gimme back my homework," while Patrick sits calmly nearby, eyes closed, unbothered by the outburst. Sara clicks her tongue sharply, glaring at the notebook on the desk as her frustration simmers just beneath the surface. A casual invite cuts through the tension as someone calls out, asking if Sara's joining the karaoke after school. Sara's excitement crashes as she remembers her tutoring session tonight, shutting down any chance of karaoke fun. Patrick's shocked shout about it being Friday is shut down instantly when someone corrects him. It's Tuesday, not the weekend yet. Patrick throws his hands up, frustrated that even Tammy's coming to the event, and Sara listens thoughtfully while Vicky looks surprised at the unexpected news. Sara hesitates, torn between her plans and the relentless pressure to reschedule, the weight of expectations pushing her to reconsider everything. Sara snaps, refusing to wait any longer, shouting her urgent goodbye as she bolts away, leaving Patrick yelling after her in frustration. Gripping the note tightly, they scan the tutor's details. Young Oliver, library room 12B, and number to call. Eyes locked on the next move. Sara narrows her eyes, zeroing in on the number, 12B, the key to unlocking the tutor's mystery. Sara watches intently as a student inside room 12B scribbles furiously in a notebook, every stroke possibly holding the clue she needs. Sara's frustration boils over as she clenches her fists, eyes blazing with determination to crack the mystery, no matter the cost. Sara scribbles furiously in her notebook, eyes darting between her notes and smartphone, piecing together clues with relentless focus. Sara's gasp cuts through the hallway as Oliver stares confused from inside the classroom, both caught off guard by something unseen through the door's window. Sara pounds the door, her frustration boiling over as she yells, "Oh, no," repeatedly, desperate to break through the silence inside room 12B. Sara's mind races as she realizes she keeps running into the subway boy, disbelief hitting her. She must be in the wrong room after all. Sara's eyes scan the message, her fingers hesitating over the screen as doubt creeps in. Was room 12B really the right place to meet? Sara's phone buzzes relentlessly in the hallway as she debates whether to answer, tension thickening the air outside the classroom. Sara texts from the hallway, confirming the meeting in room 12B, then waits silently as the reply comes through. "Yeep, I'm here already. See you soon." Sara's nerves spike as she breaks into a cold sweat, raising a hand in confusion. Something's gone sideways, and she's scrambling to figure out what now. Sara steels herself, swallowing doubt as she decides to confront whatever awaits, determined to face the consequences head-on without hesitation. Oliver's pen scratches urgently across the notebook as he listens intently through his headphones, eyes widening at something unexpected. Sara's anxiety spikes as she breaks into a nervous sweat, bracing herself for whatever chaos is about to unfold next. Sara clenches her fists, steeling herself with fierce determination as she declares, "I can do this," ready to face whatever consequences await. Oliver knocks hesitantly on the door, voice trembling as he forces out a shaky, "Hi." Oliver stammers in disbelief, eyes wide as he questions, You're Sara." Sara flashes a carefree peace sign and a bright smile, eyes shut tight as she playfully calls out, "Mom." Sara buries her face behind a book, anxiety clear, while Oliver furiously scribbles notes, the tension thick between them in the silent study room. Sara flips through pages nervously, her eyes darting for answers, while Oliver's surprise fades into sharp focus as he connects the dots in their frantic study session. Sara nods with determination, her anxiety sharpening into resolve, while Oliver's surprise hardens into focused agreement as they brace for what's next. Oliver breaks the silence, steering the focus to calculus as he asks which chapters are on the next test, ready to dive into the study session. Sara muffles a snack between her words, clearly anxious as she tries to focus despite the tension hanging in the air. Oliver's surprise question cuts through the quiet as Sara calmly confirms, eyes fixed on the book while the tension between them thickens in the cramped library. Sara flips through the book with steady fingers, eyes scanning the pages as she murmurs, "Okay, sequences and series," her focus unbroken despite the weight of the moment. Oliver leans in, eyes wide, challenging Sara to break down what she already knows, pushing her to connect the dots under pressure. Sara clutches the brown object, her worry deepening as Oliver breaks into a nervous sweat, both struggling to piece together the puzzle before them. Oliver pinches the bridge of his nose, sighing heavily as frustration builds, while Sara turns away, lost in thought, both trapped in the silence of their stalled breakthrough. Oliver grabs Sara's scarf, frustration boiling over as he yells for her to pull it down, But Sara turns away, her anxiety clear as she snaps back that she can't understand a word he's saying. Oliver's eyes snap wide behind his glasses, jaw tightening as the weight of the revelation crashes down, leaving no room for denial. Sarah's fingers brush her cheek, eyes darting with panic as the terrifying thought sinks in. He might have already seen through her disguise. Oliver's surprise sharpens as he cuts through the tension, voice low and challenging. "You were saying?" Sara stammers nervously, eyes darting as she questions if the sequences are really those cryptic numbers mixed with letters, her worry barely contained. Oliver, surprised but determined, insists they start from the beginning while Sara sighs, overwhelmed yet ready to dive into the confusing codes. Oliver orders them to finish the worksheets for homework while Sara asks about the test date, learning it's in 2 weeks and deciding to meet after school to prepare. Oliver stands to leave, waving a quick goodbye while Sara stays seated, clutching her bag and notebook, the weight of the upcoming test lingering between them. Sara exhales quietly, the silence filling the space he left behind as her mind races with the weight of what's to come. Sara finally lets the tears fall freely, her walls breaking down as she admits she can cry in peace after enduring so much pain. Sara sits on the floor, cake in hand, bursting into laughter as she retells how Patrick yanked her scarf down, nearly making her faint, turning the moment into pure comedic gold. Sara munches on snacks, muttering about being called a weirdo, but proud she's not dumb enough to trust just anyone. Sara laughs loudly into the phone, snack in hand, as she basks in the unexpected fiery nickname thrown her way. Sara bites her lip, guilt creeping in as she realizes her harsh words about him were too cruel, her anxious thoughts swirling while she nervously munches on snacks. Sara's cheeks flush as she stuffs cake in her mouth, laughing nervously while blurting out how embarrassed she is, the awkward silence at the table thick with tension. Sara bites her finger nervously, phone pressed to her ear as she hesitantly asks if he really doesn't remember her, the voice on the other end teasing her to calm down. Sara's tone shifts as she admits her hunger, sparking a lively back and forth where the voice on the other end confesses they're starving, turning the conversation toward food with unexpected urgency. Patrick laughs nervously on the phone, joking about hot pot, while confessing he's too scared to go outside in case he runs into someone dangerous, but quickly assures that the coast is clear for now. Sara's eyes widen in shock as she grips the phone tighter, urgently asking if the person on the other end is actually outside right now. Sara jumps onto the bed, shouting in frustration, demanding to know what Patrick thinks he's doing right now. The door swings open as someone steps in confidently, sliding their feet across the floor before twisting the handle with purpose. Patrick bursts in, waving money with a nervous grin while Sara turns sharply, caught off guard by the sudden, loud surprise greeting. Sara, phone in hand, blurted out, "Hot pot," her hopeful voice cutting through the tension, searching for a simple comfort amidst the chaos. Patrick waved the money, surrendering with a laugh. "Fine, fine. You get to pick tonight's meal, even if it's my cash." Patrick smirks, declaring, "My treat," as he throws down his cash, ready to own the night despite the stakes. Sara points accusingly, shouting she's the one who handed over all the cash, while Patrick laughs nervously, flexing his arm and calling her a dork. Sara and Patrick argue heatedly over the amount of money exchanged, each insisting they handed over more cash as they pace through the hallway. Sara's dad calmly sips his drink, eyes steady as the morning light filters through the room, unshaken by the quiet tension around him. Sara munches on a slice of bread, eyes heavy with sleep as she drifts into a quiet, drowsy haze. Sara's eyelids droop as she barely finishes her bread, while Sara's dad calmly sips his drink, the quiet hum of drowsiness settling over the table. Sara blinks awake just long enough to respond to her dad's casual question, her voice barely masking the lingering drowsiness as she agrees and finishes her bread. Sara's dad slams down his coffee, voice sharp as he demands to know if she was out late with Patrick again, cutting off her attempt to dodge the question. Sara snaps back, surprised and defensive, as her dad warns her sharply that he hates seeing her spend too much time with that boy. Sara snaps back mid-bite, yelling that they were just out eating dinner, trying to defuse her dad's sharp warning with a mix of frustration and urgency. Sarah's dad grills her about her old girlfriends, Jane, Tammy, and a mysterious Bonbon, while Sara, caught off guard, questions who Bonbon even is. Sarah's dad insists Bonbon is the little round magician girl, but Sara shoots it down, correcting him with Lulu, and drops the bomb that she's gone to the dark side. Sarah's dad takes a sip and shrugs off the drama, insisting she deserves way better than Patrick as a boyfriend. Sara bursts out, coughing and yelling that she's not dating Patrick, while Sarah's dad calmly sips his drink, unfazed by her outburst. Sara holds up a small object defiantly, insisting she already knows he's not interested, while the other person demands how she could possibly know that. Sara snaps back, shouting that he said it himself, while the other bursts out sarcastically, "Well, good, good." Sara, still coughing, tries to focus on her food, while Sarah's dad calmly sips his drink, the tension between their words hanging heavy in the air. With a quick goodbye and a reminder to greet Bonbon, the girl heads off to school, leaving behind a mix of amusement and exasperation. With a quick goodbye and a reminder to greet Bonbon, the girl heads off to school, leaving behind a mix of amusement and exasperation. Oliver steps through the doorway with steady purpose, eyes scanning the dim hallway as tension thickens the air around him. Sarah's eyes snap wide open as a sudden shock steals her breath, her gasp echoing through the tense silence. The door slams shut with a sharp finality, sealing off any chance of escape or interruption. Sarah's dad calls out, questioning if she forgot something, but Sara, already heading out the door, brushes it off with a hesitant no. She tells someone to wait a second before ending the call with a quick, "Okay, bye," then slams the door shut, cutting off any further questions. The seemingly interminable war was won, leaving the red brick building standing silent as a quiet calm finally settled over the battlefield. Sara rested her head on her hand, the classroom quiet and still as the war's end settled like dust over the lingering tension. Joe's eyes lifted, hope shining as the moment they'd all yearned for finally unfolded before them. Sarah's voice cut through the silence, reading the final word aloud as the room held its breath. But all of this monumental effort, at what cost? The weight of the question hung heavy, signaling the end, leaving everyone to grapple with the truth behind their struggle. Joe joined the applause, his hopeful eyes reflecting the bittersweet victory as the classroom echoed with claps that marked both an ending and a new beginning. She nervously thanked everyone, clutching her paper as the applause swelled, filling the room with a mix of relief and anticipation. The teacher awkwardly praised Sara Lin's vocabulary, voice tinged with hesitation as he scanned her paper for flaws. Sara showed her paper to a male classmate, who gave her a confident thumbs up, sparking a brief moment of encouragement amid the classroom buzz. Sara's bored gaze flicked sideways, her frustration barely hidden as the classroom's dull routine dragged on around her. Her eyes sharpened as she caught a subtle movement from the corner, breaking the monotony with a sudden spark of curiosity. Rose's voice cut through the classroom energy as she stood, eyes bright, ready to drop an announcement that demanded the teacher's full attention. Sara, the blonde-haired girl, confidently announced her new role as newspaper club president and kicked off preparations for the upcoming school festival, while the brown-haired Sara held the papers, listening intently to the plan unfolding. Sara declared that she and Mari were recruiting new members to capture every moment of their school festival adventure. Sara scoffed, arms crossed, dismissing the newspaper as outdated, questioning who even bothers to read it these days. A bold student shot up their hand, blurting out they used it the other day as toilet paper, shocking the whole classroom. Patrick, Joe, Oliver, and the classmate burst into uncontrollable laughter, the classroom echoing with their wild H-A, H-A-H-A. Sara snaps at the crowd, slamming her frustration on Patrick and defending the importance of their news, while the other Sara listens silently, clutching the papers that hold their credibility. Sara sits back, unimpressed and bored, as the heated argument escalates around her with accusations flying and Patrick getting banned from joining the group. With Patrick out, the room shifts as someone eagerly volunteers, breaking the tension and forcing a new chapter to begin. Without hesitation, a determined figure slams their hand on the table and declares, "I'll join," shifting the stakes and setting the next move in motion. Sara's eyes widen in surprise, her hand propping up her face as she processes the sudden shift in the room's energy. The young man exhales deeply, the weight of the moment pressing down as tension lingers in the air. Sara folds her arms, voice sharp as she calls out, "Great. Thanks, Joe." Anyone else? Demanding answers and pushing the conversation forward. Sara's mind races, disbelief flashing across her face as the impossible question hits her. Me? Her hand rises instinctively, mind sharp as the question burns. Is this finally her moment to seize everything? Sara's arm shoots up, panic flashing in her eyes as she screams, "Oh no, what am I doing?" The weight of doubt crashing down just when she needed clarity the most. Sara points out Joe and the rest of the girls in class, piecing together the social puzzle as tension simmers beneath the surface. A girl suddenly raises her hand, eyes wide, and blurts out, "What?" breaking the mounting silence with sharp disbelief. Suddenly, hands shoot up, eyes sparkling with hearts as students eagerly declare their affection, turning the classroom into a battlefield of admiration. Sara slams her hand on the table, frustration boiling over as she demands, "Why?" Sara waves the papers emphatically, declaring the class can't handle this many girls, while the other Sara nods, overwhelmed by the chaos their numbers might bring. The teacher's stern glare cuts through the tension as she demands order, forcing the girls to scramble and prove they belong despite the overcrowded classroom. Joe raises a finger confidently, breaking the chaos with a calm voice as he offers a suggestion that could change everything. A student mumbles quietly at their desk, their hesitant words barely breaking the tense silence in the classroom. Sara beams with excitement, praising Joe's idea, while the other Sara listens silently, arms crossed, weighing the plan's potential. One voice suggests everyone submit a sample essay to apply, sparking agreement that it could effectively narrow down the candidates. Sara and Sara break into applause, voices ringing out with sharp approval. Brilliant. Fantastic. As the plan to use sample essays gains unanimous excitement. Sara's eyes widen as she covers her mouth, realization hitting hard. An essay, huh? The plan's potential suddenly crystal clear. Sara's surprised eyes lock on the male, student crossing his arms, his challenge cutting through the air. "So, are you joining that stupid club then?" The orange-haired student explodes. "Are you kidding?" "No freaking way," as tension crackles between them, the classroom thick with unspoken defiance. Patrick sighs, questioning the sudden shift in priorities, challenging if getting closer to Joe wasn't supposed to be the new mission driving everything forward. Sara tightens her grip on her bag strap, eyes narrowing as she silently weighs the unexpected change in Patrick's priorities, refusing to let confusion slow her down. The young student's eyes widen, his voice cracking as he demands, "What?" caught off guard by the sudden shift in the room's tension. Sara's frustration breaks through her bored facade as she snaps, "You could have said it's because I'm a good writer." Caught off guard, Sara stammers to add, trying to patch up the conversation before it slips further out of control. Sara's sharp refusal cuts through the awkwardness as she storms off, leaving the boy standing firm with crossed arms, the tension thick in the classroom air. He scoffs, crossing his arms tighter and taunts, "PFF, chicken," with a smirk that dares anyone to challenge him.